Hey, everybody, it's Molly from Alcohol Minimalist, and this is a Think Thursday episode. You might be able to hear it in my voice, but I am feeling a little under the weather. And so we are revisiting an episode from January of this year, all about how the brain loves to be a helper. I really enjoyed this episode when I recorded it. I think it's got so much merit whenever it is in life. And so I think that hopefully you'll still get something out of it, even if you're just re listening to it. And I apologize because I did have something that I wanted to record this week, but just not feeling quite up to it. So I will see you all on Monday.
Hey, welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist podcast. Think Thursday is all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. We're talking neuroscience. We're talking behavior change. We are talking about your mindset. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, hello and welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist. I'm your host, Molly Watts, and here on Think Thursday, we talk all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. You know, the reason that I started Think Thursday specifically is because when I started to work on my relationship with alcohol, which is why I started any of this really in terms of learning about the brain, is because I was really fascinated by neuroscience and really understanding and unlocking the power of my brain and realizing how much I didn't know about it, even as I was in midlife, and how much power and how much agency my thoughts had in creating my experience here in life, the connection between my thoughts and my feelings and the actions and the results that I have in my life. That whole self coaching model really became, and what I call the behavior map result cycle, really became something that I was fascinated by. And your brain is really where it all happens. So much of it, the thoughts and the feelings, are generated really in the brain. So, that's why I started Think Thursday, because I wanted to dive even deeper into neuroscience and brain health and mindset and really understand and deliver those in a dedicated way. And this week, you know, it's been a big week here in the United States. This is dropping on January 30th, and our new administration has taken the reins. And right away, there's been a lot of fear and unrest and kind of a chaotic environment happening for people who are very concerned. I know, I know we all probably have friends and connections and people who are being impacted or threatened by the budget cuts that have been announced by the administration. And again, this is not a political conversation, but these cuts could impact different areas and different people, healthcare, education, um, marginalized communities, and seniors. And it's very unclear. And that uncertainty brings a lot of fear. And fear and uncertainty definitely have a way of paralyzing us, don't they? And we get caught in cycles of worry. And for many of us, our first instinct is to retreat into the comfort of behaviors. Maybe, that could be doom scrolling, it could be overeating, it could be pouring a drink at the end of the day. Um, and I want to help us shift from fear to action and a different action. So, you may have heard this quote from Mr. Rogers. It's kind of a famous clip, actually kind of controversial clip, where he talks about when he was a boy and when they would see scary things or catastrophes on the news, his mother would say to him, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." And I think, and if you put that in context, let's just say maybe of the Los Angeles fires, right? Instead of looking at all the fires and all the devastation and being just brought to being utterly hopeless and feeling despair for people, if you look for a story about the people that have come in and are doing really good work to help bring people back and to help save people and the firefighters, when you look for the stories of the helpers, it will help you have a different perspective, right? And to remember and to look for those other sides of anything that is bad or scary or overwhelming in the world. We can find another perspective of a helper that that will lift you up in spirit. And I think that's a really great way to help reframe your thinking. But today I want to take it one step further, and that's I want to ask you to think about how we can become a helper. I think seeing helpers helps us remember, but then we want to take an action and use our own real life experience, because when we help others, we don't just improve their lives, we improve our own, and we improve our own mental health and our own mindset. So, I will admit I'm right there with many of us this week, feeling a little sense of hopelessness and feeling some feelings of despair. And I wanted to and fearful, right? And I think it's a first of all, just want to legitimize and say it's a natural response. It's kind of hardwired into our biology. When we perceive a threat, the amygdala, the fear center in our brain, kicks into gear and triggers those kind of paralyzing fight, flight, or freeze responses. And of course, it was useful when we were facing predators, but today those threats are typically more emotional or psychological, just like this week, not physical. And we, when we're in this fear loop, our brain is trying to solve the problem by kind of keeping us on high alert. So, unfortunately, that doesn't motivate us to act. It often leads us to inaction or taking negative actions, coping behaviors, instead of really moving us in a positive, forward way. The good news is that fear isn't a permanent state, and we can shift our brains out of fear by engaging that prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's responsible for decision making and rational thoughts. And one of the most effective ways to do that is through acts of helping or generosity, acts of kindness. When you focus your attention elsewhere and trying to help, you will move yourself out of that fear state. When we help others, our brain doesn't just light up metaphorically, it literally lights up. A 2016 study using neuroimaging found that when people engage in acts of generosity, the pleasure centers of their brain activate and create feelings of happiness. This effect they often call the helper's high, and it is linked to that release of endorphins, those feel good chemicals that reduce stress and increase pleasure. And another study from 2009 tracked participants and found that those who performed regular acts of kindness reported a higher life satisfaction than those who didn't. So, why does this happen? Well, like I said, endorphins and dopamine. When we give, our brains release endorphins, creating that natural high similar to what we experience maybe after like exercise. We also get a boost of dopamine, which, as we know, dopamine is what motivates us to try to do it again. And so the neurotransmitter, I mean, both of those together, endorphins and dopamine, are a good cycle that keep you wanting to do the same thing. Oxytocin's also released, which is often called the love hormone. Oxytocin is what helps us engage in social bonding. And so acts of kindness and acts of helping trigger that response, which promotes feelings of connection and trust. The takeaway here is that helping others isn't just altruistic, it's actually biologically rewarding. It's good for our brains, and it can be way more effective at improving our mood than obviously than anything like even an external thing like taking a drink or eating or anything else. It actually works on a cycle where it can be just like that 2009 study said. When you do this regularly, you can continually get that helper's high and you have a higher life satisfaction. I was thinking about that this week. I was thinking about some of the things that are really concerning to me in terms of just, global issues that seem to be threatened even more so or deprioritized in terms of the current government. And so I would encourage you to do the same. Think about something that is important to you in terms of your, what's just one of the biggest some of the biggest issues. For me, I talk about, if you listen to the big podcast, I talk about the weather often here in Oregon. And while I joke about it, I guess, in a lighthearted way, or I bring it up in a lighthearted way at the beginning of the podcast, there are other things that I think about with regards to the weather, and that is global warming, the fires in Los Angeles, this multi-day dry streak that we've been having here in Oregon, and just in general, what's happening in the planet becomes hotter. And for me, I believe global warming is a threat to the world, and it is something that I am concerned about. So, and we have we're deprioritizing that in the government right now. So I want to figure out something here locally, and I haven't figured it out yet, but that's what I want to do, is look for an opportunity and things that I can do just in a very small way here locally to work on um, global warming and solutions for what will happen as the world's climate continues to change. And you don't have to make this a grand gesture to experience the benefits of helping. Here's 5 simple ways that you can make a difference in your community. All right? And again, think about it for yourself. That was, like I said, I've kind of decided that global warming's where I want to focus my attention, but yours can be something else. Whatever it is, start small and make it personal. You can offer to run errands for an elderly neighbor. You can send a heartfelt text to a friend who's struggling. You can leave a positive review for a small local business. Small acts like this add up, and they often have a ripple effect. Number 2, like I said, support local organizations. Volunteer at a food bank or a shelter. Join a community cleanup event. This is something that might go hand in hand with the environment. Of course, donate local supplies to schools or libraries. Many nonprofits are going to be feeling the strain of those budget cuts. So even a few hours, a few dollars can make a big impact. Number 3, advocate and use your voice. Call or email your representatives to express your concerns. Attend local meetings and town halls and express yourself. Activate your voice. Educate yourself and others about the impact of policy changes. Number 4, lead by example. Model resilience and optimism in your daily life. Talk about, look for helpers and share those perspectives with people. Share positive stories and solutions, not just focusing on the problems. Be a calming presence to those around you. And number 5, practice everyday kindness. Smile at a stranger, compliment a coworker, hold the door open for someone, say please, say thank you. These small amounts of connection can shift the energy in your community and help you feel more connected to others. So, how do we keep this? Many of us been doing dry January, and I know for some people, this week, presented an extra challenge. It's the end of the month. Sometimes the end of the month feels like it's not worth it anymore. It's January 30th today, like I've teased all along, because tomorrow's Friday, January 31st, and you know, is there any going to be still going to be doing dry January with me on January 31st Friday, or are you all going to throw in the towel? Um, this is the thing. When we when we help others instead of reaching for a drink, we're doing something radically different. We're giving our brain a natural dopamine hit, releasing endorphins, and over time it actually rewires our brain to seek healthier coping mechanisms. Helping others can be the most effective stress reliever because it shifts our focus outward. It reduces rumination, which we just talked about recently, and it builds long term resilience. So here's my challenge for you this week: do one small thing to help someone else. Whether it's volunteering, donating, or simply offering a kind word, reflect on how it made you feel. Did it shift your mood or reduce your stress? Then do it again. And if you do it, I would really love to hear about it. Send me a message, molly@mollywatts.com, or share your experience in the Alcohol Minimalist Facebook group. Remember, fear thrives in inaction, but helping actions, no matter how small, create momentum. Let's be like Mr. Rogers and look for the helpers, but also become helpers ourselves and inspire others to do the same. Until next time, my friends, choose peace. I will see you on Monday.